Hey guys, cheers for tuning into another video. So this video is more of a follow-on to my OBS and the importance of audio. So one thing I didn't cover too much in that video, despite how audio is important, is how OBS can be set up for such things. Now, because this is a gaming channel, I also want to touch on that subject of recording gaming videos and audio, and also how to translate vlogs into this as well. You can mix and match however you wish, but with the vlogging aspect, I'm going to be discussing pairing the camera recording footage like we're doing right here, and also just capturing our audio using primarily OBS, and perhaps touch upon the advanced features it actually does provide. Despite how strong OBS is, it does need to be set up from the very beginning if you've installed this for the very first time. Now, maybe other software out there, but I've touched upon my previous video that why I want to use OBS. Now, with OBS, we're going to go into, well, OBS itself. Now we need to first set up OBS. So if you're coming into the first time or you need to recheck your settings and make sure you got it done correctly, with the first things first, you always want to set your scenes and sources. Your scenes are whatever you're looking at or whatever you want to label essentially. And you want to make sure you have your sources. Some of my recommendation for OBS and some of the settings that you want to set up in your sources would be to use display capture as opposed to game capture. Display capture will capture everything you see on screen. Game capture will try to hook a full screen program such as a game that you have on. I tend to not have a lot of success with the reliability of game capture, either it doesn't hook fast enough properly, or the actual image is just, it's non-existent. Display is reliable. You will capture things that you may not want, but you should edit it out if you want to. But that's my recommendation for reliability. Now, for audio in and out, I would recommend to not use OBS, default microphone in and desktop audio. I would get rid of that and disable it, and insert a audio input capture and output capture to what you are using. Because if you wish to expand on your scenes as this goes on, you can do so with those, whether you want that audio in capture or audio out capture or not, on a scene to scene basis. So it's more powerful if you do that, and it's not going to impact the standard recordings anyway. That's just my recommendation. Within the OBS settings, you just want to make sure some settings are set correctly. So first things first is video. So you want to make sure the base canvas is the resolution you want to record in, and the FPS matching, well, I would recommend 60 at this stage. Depending on the video codec you use, this will play havoc with your actual recorded footage. NVENC, to my experience, because I use NVIDIA, hates anything above 60. Maybe at the bitrate I do, but that's another topic. Audio, again, just don't use this. To me, this doesn't matter because you would insert the audio in out manually within your sources. So to me, this is a little meaningless. But you want to make sure your sample rate is 48 kilohertz. That's the high as it goes. Now, because we are focusing on recording both either gameplay or audio for camera vlogs, or a mixture of both, however you wish to do your content creation, with me in the recording tab, I have mine either advanced or standard, whatever it says there. I think it should be advanced. Yeah, so output mode advanced here. I don't use presets here. I think it's better to learn to use OBS in its configurations. Now, within the settings, we will go top to bottom as much as we can. For recording path, my recommendation is to have a dedicated drive for your recordings in general. I have a dedicated 2TB SSD now, but I recommend just a dedicated separate drive, separate from especially where your games are stored, where Windows is stored. This will make your life easier. I promise you it will. Now, recording format, I use fragmented MOV because this gives me, in my opinion, better access to audio codecs, but you can use fragmented MP4. Because I have an NVIDIA graphics card, I use NVENC HEVC. AMD also has access to the HEVC. It might be labeled H.265. I believe they are one and the same thing. It's not a problem at all. Audio encoders, again, either use PCM 24-bit at the very least. I use ALAC 24-bit. This will be available on AMD GPUs as well, as long as you set the recording format appropriately. Audio track. This bit's special. There's a separate setting beyond this. I use audio track 1, 2, 3 and 4 because those are the audio sources I do actually use. You want to just use whatever you actually do have. Now, this will be either just 1 and 2 or 1, 2, 3. In my case, 4 has a special function. So I always have audio track 1 to be every source, everything. It's there just in case. Though I really should not use it. 2 is what I set as my microphone. 3 is my desktop audio capture. 4 is my Discord capture. Now, to enable separate audio routing for Discord, for example, to the same output of your speakers or your headset, you will need something with audio routing to achieve that. I do. My headsets support separate chat out, so just bear that in mind. You may not have access to this, so you may not, or just may not. It'd be pointless to use this otherwise. The encoder settings, these will differ depending what vendor you have. So with NVIDIA, there's some NVIDIA very specific settings here, but I would say for AMD, some of the key settings remain the same. So rate control, CBR, constant bitrate. For bitrate, this gets a bit tricky. The better the hardware you have, the more you can crank this up, but also more storage. I would recommend between either AMD and NVIDIA to have it at 40,000 kilobits per second and above. I've gone 60 because that still gives the encoder breathing room to not overload, so you don't get much footage, and not stress everything else out. So that's my recommendation for bitrate. Anything above 40,000 kilobits, especially if you're recording in 60 frames per second. If you're doing 30 frames per second recording, for whatever reason that would be, you can lower that bitrate. If you're doing higher frame rate recordings, you need to up the bitrate. Keyframe interval, 2 seconds. This is true for both AMD and NVIDIA. You can put that to 1, but you start stressing the encoder. Again, these are more NVIDIA settings, and really that's as far as it goes. Max B frames will also be 2. I believe that's now available for AMD. Now, I touched upon this bit with the audio encoder. This is where the magic is. This is what my video entails in terms of both game recordings and doing audio capture for your vlogs, for your camera to match up. So this is why this was important. So it's higher quality audio. You have everything set up in OBS, which includes your filters such as your expander, compressors, your audio shaping tools, limiters already applied in a recording. Less hassle. The final thing of the setup with OBS is this annoying feature: advanced audio properties. When I was referring to how I've got my microphone, desktop audio, and my Discord, all at different tracks, this is where you do it. By default, all of these are selected 1 through 6. For me, I make sure everything's disabled, then click as necessary what track I want. So my Duocast is my microphone, that's 2. USB, JBL game, just bear with these names, they're my audio out if I'm using either one. So they're 3. JBL chat is because my JBL headset has chat mix function, which essentially means the outputs 2 signals. One for your background game, for example, and one dedicated for if you want to use it on Discord. So you need to enable the software, you need to enable your audio settings and Discord to use that specific setting. So this will come out very separately, and it means I have full control to what this sounds like without having it mixed in with the desktop audio. That's my reason for using it. And if you can get devices with audio routing that allow you to separate what comes through this, but yet is outputted as a single output source at the end, like your headphones, I would try recommend that highly. It just makes stuff like this nicer. A little bit more complex, but you have your control. Once you've recorded all of your footage, obviously you need to do something with it. So in the editing software of your choice, I use Resolve Free Edition just to get that out there. I would love to get the studio version in due course, but for the purpose of the video, I'm going to cover at least first aspect with when it comes to vlogs, recording on a camera with the audio that's in there and matching up with the audio recorded through OBS itself to use with your nicer microphones. So this is where I'm going to be doing it. So I have some footage here that have no relevance to any future videos or anything like that. I genuinely mean that. It was picked for this example. So when you get your footage into the media pool, when you're inserting your footage into Resolve at the very least, I don't have experience with Premiere, you need to make sure the primary footage you're going to be using and inserting into the media pool is the first thing you put in, which is going to set Resolve's background timeline. In this case will be my camera footage, which I've just selected in. It'll have its audio that is scratch audio. The purpose of this scratch audio is just so that we have something to sync with the audio. Now something else, for the purpose of the video, I'm going to take this away from the very beginning. There's reasons for this. From here, we then have the footage from OBS. This gets a little peculiar because I have multiple audio tracks. You need to bring this in quite carefully, because when you bring it in, it'll have multiple audio sources, and you want to be careful not to overwrite the audio already with your camera footage, because this is important. We need that still there for the time being. So if you can bring it in a way to have everything together, do so. I tend to find if you hover the footage over underneath the audio track, you have everything preserved, so it works. So it's all in. Now, for the time being, I want to disable the webcam footage, or the video footage from OBS. There's reasons for this. This can be your background desktop recording as well, or game footage. This can be virtually anything. For the purpose of a vlog, I'm just going to disable that for the time being. Now, what we need to do first is clean up the audio tracks in OBS. Something I need to start with first. If you have recorded desktop audio in line with your audio recording and you're trying to sync this with the auto syncing feature, I shall go over quickly after this, it's not going to work. You're going to have to sync the microphone audios of both manually, the old-fashioned way, which is just lining up the waveforms. I mean, it won't take long to do, but that's what you're going to have to do. So first, let's clean up. I don't need this audio track. That's audio track 1, everything mixed in. This would have been the desktop audio. There's nothing there, so we can delete that. So I have microphone to microphone. And please remember which one's which. You can rename stuff here. So what you need to do here is select both footage, right click, auto align clips based on waveform. Resolve will do its magic and it's put everything together, aligned. So next thing you want to do is link these clips because it makes life easy. Then you just want to clean up the start points. This is purely for example basis. So delete that and you have a start. Now we can bring this to the very beginning and there we go. And let's take a listen to this. I got ahead of myself. Disable the camera microphone. USB microphones, just in general, are just simpler devices. They tend to be... So there we have it. Using OBS to do your audio recordings with all of the settings pre-applied, already done, no messing about. I don't need to go into Fairlight here, do any audio processing. I don't need to bring in any of this because I've already set what I want in OBS, already controlled, no messing about. The only thing I would ever need to do is mess about with the output of the volume if I feel it's too quiet or too loud. So that's all I need to do. Now, obviously, if you have game recordings, like I said, to match up camera footage may not be the best ideal way. But essentially, you will just have multiple audio tracks and you have control of how you want to set the audio. If you want to make the game audio track quieter by just selecting these as appropriate. And your microphone up and down. For me with Discord chat, I'm able to also control that here if I want that quieter or louder in post-production. Complete control. But for the purpose of vlogs, I feel this is a stronger tool to use for your audio recording, for everything. You don't need to use multiple software to meet your needs. You can do it all into one now, in my opinion. And one of the reasons why I like using OBS to handle video and audio recording now as well, now that it has that 24-bit plus audio codec, is you can play about with how the recorded footage from OBS plays with its video footage. I'm going to use an example here. So this is from my webcam. The audio syncing is going to be weird because the webcam is just a little slow. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to do something a little interesting. I'm going to make a lot of random cuts. There's no bearing to this, it doesn't matter. Again, this is a Resolve thing. I wouldn't know about Premiere Pro or any other editing software. But like I said, we've linked all of these clips. If you click any of them, everything gets selected. But you know, you want to just have your camera footage to start with here. So if you hold Alt, left click the webcam footage, you select it by itself. And within the Inspector tab, if you go to the Composite section, go to Opacity, and you basically got rid of that footage without destroying it. I think that's a pretty strong plus for the flexibility. Though if we come here, I want to show you something, how it transitions into the webcam without, the only thing we've done by destruction is cutting it up, but we haven't deleted a footage. It's still there and we can recover it a lot nicer. So if you've got a webcam, you can, add that footage, you can keep that footage, and you can have like a two-way sort of system. So you can have a camera like here, my webcam's actually on my left here, so you can have two separate points of view if you wish. A very powerful tool, and play about you want. And again, select that by itself, opacity, so let it play. It should hopefully go into the camera footage in a snap. There we go. This was all recorded at the same time, so when I recorded this OBS for the audio, I recorded my webcam in the background. This is the camera footage that I had all at the same time. So all of this actually matches. This is all the same thing. So pretty solid use case, I would say. If you were using a different audio capture software, you would probably have to have that running in the background and OBS if you want to capture that better audio quality. If you made it this far, guys, thank you for watching. If this video was anything of a benefit in terms of setting up OBS just for your content creation recordings and how to just set it up, even though I went over it rather briefly as opposed to too deeply, I hopefully covered the important aspects and how you can use that into your editing software, because I feel like a lot of this tools is something I wish we've had before, and also something I've learned as I go along, because some of this is something I've wish I knew some time ago. So it's been useful. Leave a comment below, leave a like, subscribe, which would be appreciated. Till next time, guys, see ya.